It sounds like filmmaking was kind of always there, hanging out right here in the side of your ear while you were doing all these courses.
So I'm a cliche. My dad had a video store that I had to work in. So from the age of like 12 until 18 or so, I worked every day in the video store. So I saw a lot of stuff. But even before then, like I didn't know anyone who was a filmmaker, and I didn't think it was anything that was attainable for me. You know, as a kid, I worked 3 jobs every summer. So yeah, it was just kind of the worst. Wow. And you know, there's just no free time. And I had to go into tech because it was the only thing I knew how to do that could, you know, provide housing and health insurance. So so I always loved it. And I actually used to watch short films all the time. There used to be this thing called the Short Cinema Journal, which was, did you ever see that?
No.
It came out in like 97. It was this DVD magazine that would come with short films on it. So like La Jetée was on it. Vin Diesel's first short film, Multifacial, was on it.
Really? I gotta go back and dig that up. Wow.
Oh yeah, I have them. I'll lend them to you. I'll send them to you. So yeah, so I used to watch, you know, all these kinds of short films all the time, lots of art house films. But again, I didn't think it was anything that I could personally ever do. But yeah, and then I had this beekeeping store called Her Majesty's Secret Beekeeper. That was like in 2008. And it was just when like the economy was crashing and urban farming was on the uptick. And so I just happened to open this beekeeping store like right at the right time.
Right.
And people were coming and doing interviews with me all the time. Like once a week I would be doing an interview. And one day this crew from Stanford comes. It's a documentary masters team. And they were doing a thing on me, and they shot it on film, on Kodak film, on a camera. And it was amazing. I just loved the entire process. And it was actually the first time that I saw something that came out really good and thought, I could do that. And so, yeah. So
I think a lot of people are very inspired for doing something when they see other people doing it and they watch the process, and it doesn't seem to be this rocket science thing that they thought was unattainable. You clearly see the steps that they took to do it. And that does give a lot of people confidence of giving it a try. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, I think at least all the best filmmakers I know, they always started with seeing something, saying, yeah, I want to try that, or I want to do that. And so, yeah. And it was funny because I was originally going to do Real Artists on like a red camera. And then I went to Sundance, and there was this session with Rachel Morrison, who had just shot Sugar. What's it? Oh no. What's the movie about the young woman who is gay, but she's closeted and she's Black? Oh wait, a teenage girl?
Yeah, she's like 18 or 19. Rachel Morrison had shot that.
Oh, I think I know which film you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of it though.
And it was by the director of Mudbound.
Yes, I think I know the film. I'm not going to remember the name. I know I'm not, but we'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, no, it's all right. Anyway, so she had done that movie, Pariah is what it's called.
That's exactly what I was thinking about, but I couldn't remember the name. Yeah, Pariah. That was a really good film.
So at Sundance, on stage, there was this discussion about, you know, why you should shoot on film. And I kind of went in thinking that these people are going to be crazy. It was Rachel Morrison, who had done Pariah the year before. I think she was just shooting, she had just shot Fruitvale Station. She was about to do Black Panther and Mudbound. So she's, you know, this person just on the cusp of just incredibleness. Colin Trevorrow, who had just done Safety Not Guaranteed, and he had shot that on film and was now doing Jurassic World. Then Chris Nolan, Jonathan Nolan's brother. And so the three of them on stage talking about why you should shoot on film. And the one thing that they said that was really interesting was that, especially for first-time filmmakers, there's a type of like gravitas that's blended when you are shooting film on set. And it feel like it's real, that it's not just, you know, an iPhone on a tripod.
There's something more serious, more permanent. And so anyway, they convinced me at that time to shoot on film. So I went back and I talked to people at Kodak, and we got 35 millimeter film, and that's how we were able to shoot Real Artists. And it's all shot on 35 millimeter except for the drone shots. And anytime you're seeing something from Big Semi's perspective, without that digital, everything else is film.
Wow. And, you know, I was going to say, like, for your first sci-fi film, this was amazing. I think, is it your first sci-fi film?
It's my first film. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty badass, because, you know, with your background, I didn't see any film schools in your whole like thing there. And I mean, you know, I love that though, because I just also kind of think that with the amount of education that you had, with all the types of studies, I think that you are someone who absorbs information and study, and you probably didn't need to go to film school for that, you know, because of the type of person you are. I wouldn't think that, you know, I would say for everybody, oh, you don't need to go to film school. Clearly, you know, there are a lot of people that gain a lot of great things from it. And even for you, you know, not to knock going to film school, I'm pretty sure if you did go there, there would be obviously things that you would learn that you may not know, but you would probably figure it out on your own eventually. But I just kind of think that for a person like you with your background, I can see why you wouldn't have needed to necessarily go, you know, because before the creative film school, people were just learning on their own, and you were learning from other people, and that was what you were doing. So you were still in what we call a school of life, as opposed to a film school, because, you know, but to your testament, not everybody can go to Sundance and watch a couple of panels and and then take that information and then just go make the Real Artist. Like that still doesn't normally happen. You know, clearly you know, have put so much into it. So I really love it for that, because it's like one of my favorite films, which is why I knew it was going to win the Audience Choice Award, because it was just too good. And so can you talk a little bit about your feature film I think you're working on right now? I heard from a birdie you're working on a little something. So I don't know if it's sci-fi or not, but just definitely, you know, want to give a little information about that.
Yeah. I actually have so many projects right now. So, so I have 2 features that are like basically written, and we're trying to package those. And at the same time, I have a TV show, which is like a sci-fi anthology series. And we were actually supposed to be shooting like right now, if the pandemic hadn't happened.
Right.
But yeah, so we have this short anthology series, which is all sci-fi. And yeah, but my movie, so I have 2, but the one that you're probably most interested in is, it's not exactly in the world of Real Artists, but it is in a similar world, and it is about a young woman who essentially liberates a very powerful AI, and it's an AI that it is a weapon to a certain extent. It's a social weapon, and she is tricked into releasing it, and it's the only person she can rely on, and she has to make a decision about whether or not this only friend she has, this only ally she has, if this is if it's okay that this is a, you know, sort of world-ending weapon or not. So it is, again, about AI, and it is about a relationship with AI and privacy. So again, very inspired by Jonah Nolan and his work, and other work, you know, similar. But I love telling stories about our relationships with artificial intelligence, and believing in them as being omniscient and all powerful, and what that means for our relationship.
Wow. I'm mad now, because that's the one that kind of got halted by the pandemic and everything going on, else you would be shooting it right now.
Oh, that's the TV show, but yeah.
Oh, the TV show, right. When do you think, well, obviously, you know, I wouldn't expect you to know exactly when you'll be able to start shooting this feature film with the AI.
Well, it's about 9 months after the pandemic, hopefully.
Gotcha. And I would even say after they find the solid cure, something that's solid, because they're going to be doing a lot of tests first. And so we have to wait for that to be proven.
Right.
Widespread, and it's out there for everybody, just like the flu shot, or, you know.
I mean, the good news is it doesn't, you know, you don't really need a crew to have an excellent script, great storyboards, an animatic, really making sure. I mean, so one of the things that I'm really, you know, I feel very strongly about, and it's all on the Real Artist website, is I do a lot of pre-production. So making sure that, you know, I have really written out a lot of biographies of every character. I have storyboards. I have, you know, I've had actors read out the script, and I've, you know, sort of animated storyboards to the script readings. And script readings you can still do.
That's true.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that kind of work. You know, right now I'm also sort of a script doctor for hire, so I've been doing a couple other films for other people. So yeah, it's been pretty great. So I'm looking forward to, like, once this is all over, to doing the TV show, and yeah, and then getting started on this feature.
So do you have it casted already?
The feature? I have the AI cast. I can't say who it is, but I have the AI cast. And
I was thinking that if you have one or two, because of this pandemic, it would be probably even better or great, because we have this break that gives the actors more time to really learn their lines. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have to learn it in, you know, a short period of time. They're used to it, I'm sure, but they'll probably have way more time to be prepared. So that's kind of a cool thing, because, you know, you got no choice. I mean, you can do all the preliminaries and get as much out of the way as possible, so that once everything is over and you're ready to go and you got the green light, then the rest of it should be a lot easier, because you spent way more time than you probably would normally spend in all this prep work. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, like Real Artists, I was in prep for about 9 months. So it's a 12-minute movie. So, you know, but I mean, we had my production designer, Matt, and I, we agonized over the design of Big Semi. And so all those screens and the animations of Big Semi, we worked so hard on those. And we actually redid them. We animated a lot of them, and then they just weren't quite right. And we actually redid all of them in post. Post took, I don't know, like 6 months or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So, cause like it's so funny. We did so much of the VFX in like Photoshop and Keynote, which I know is not how you're supposed to do it, but that's what we knew how to use.
If it works for you, you know what I mean? I love that. Do whatever works.
It's so funny because we actually won like the best VFX award at Holly Shorts. And yeah, and there's this other guy who also had a film with Tamlin Tomita called Ningo, and that movie had ridiculous VFX. Like he had no set; it was all green screen, and he didn't win the best VFX award, and he was furious.
Oh, I bet he was, honey. And he beat out to a woman too. Ooh, I know he was hot. I would have been like, sorry, boo.
It was a whole, and it was so funny to be the same lead actress. Anyway, it was a crazy coincidence. And we were at all the same film festivals that year. Yeah, so it was kind of fascinating. But yeah, so we sort of used what we knew how to do. And Matt is actually a UI designer for Apple and Facebook.
Oh, wow. So nice.
That's where Big Semi came from, is, you know, he used to work on GarageBand.
I know GarageBand very well. I still use it now.
Oh yeah. So if you see any kind of design elements that are the same.
That's incredibly inspiring for a lot of people who feel like they need to spend X amount of dollars going to these film schools and learning all this stuff and getting all these different programs and all this. I mean, if you really want to do it and you're resourceful and you just figure out ways how you can use simple things to get what you need, you have to think outside the box that way.
And like, actually, every year I take on interns from Bennington, and now I get them from a group in Hunters Point, Bayview, called Baycat. I get young women, and I basically pay them for
2 months to make their own films. And I sort of wised up a little bit. So now we're doing 3-minute films. They have to be shot on an iPhone. They all have to shoot each other's films, but you know, these films are great. So they're 3 minutes. So they're easy to program and get into film festivals. These are students. Anyway, but their films are amazing. And they've learned so much about like a 3-page script. You know, almost all your work is done revising the script, which again, costs you no money.
Right.
And it's really just like writing it, having, you know, 3 or 4 characters maximum, reading it with your friends, going, oh my God, my dialogue sounds terrible. And you fix it and you fix it.
Exactly.
And then they have to shoot it with an iPhone. And understanding that, you know, the most important thing is like making sure you have good audio. But iPhones are really great now. And yeah, so these people, these women this year, we had four women in an office for 2 months, and they wrote, shot, edited, and submitted to a film festival in 7 weeks.
Wow.
And they did it. And they did it for like no money. They spent no money at all.
I love it.
And they're amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And so part of the reason why I do it like this is like, obviously I could go and like try to get red cameras and a crew, but then they won't have the sense that they can just go do it themselves. And now they know, you know, as long as you have like 2 or 3 people helping you, you can make a movie.
Right. It's just incredibly empowering. It really, really is. And like you said, I mean, you're just giving them just that little bit, that little seed. And if they can make it work with just those few items, with no money, imagine what they can do with a lot of money. And so I think that starting them out like that is perfect. And yeah, that's incredibly inspiring. So I'm like, kudos to you for passing on the torch to other female, budding directors out there. Cause I mean, science fiction was definitely a genre that you didn't see many women in front of or behind the scene, like even in the writing world. Who's always been a challenge for a long time, which now finally that's changing. And just the high concepts behind a lot of them is not necessarily surprising to see a woman create this way. It's more of a surprise to see, or a pleasant surprise to see women feeling empowered to do so and getting the encouragement and the tools to do so and the support, because women were not supported to be filmmakers for a long time and didn't feel empowered to do so. So I think for me, that was just incredibly inspiring. And it inspired me as, someone who's doing marketing for films, because MCSFO is actually a movie marketing company. We just started out doing the film festivals to kind of, get things going and everything. But, every time I look at a film, especially a sci-fi film made by a woman, it just empowers me that much more.
It's really amazing to see, women begin to come forward. I showed my film in Georgia at this film festival called the Macon Film Festival.
Yeah, heard of it.
And it was interesting because I had a lot of young Black women come up to me and say that, they hadn't really seen themselves represented in a science fiction film where it was a character who wasn't like naked or disrespected or in violence or anything like that. And one of the things also that was sort of interesting, at least in my experience, was I did consciously try to make sure that in the film, I tried not to make the film about gender or race or anything. Not that I don't see it, because obviously I absolutely do, but because I wanted there to be a film where it was normal in the near future for 2 non-white women to be talking about work at the top of their game and have it be normal.
Right.
And have the ability to watch it and have it be normal. And it's funny because every now and then somebody says to me, like, that they had watched it and it was a glaring strangeness. Like, there wouldn't be a woman who's running a company like Pixar and be like the head creative. Like, that just isn't a thing that happens, Wow. And that they would think it and then go, whoa, self, what are you doing? And so,
wow.
And I think it's sort of interesting when you don't call attention to it.
and what that looks like. So yeah, and then I think there's actually, so like there's the Bechdel test, which is when, I'm sure you know, just for people who don't, the Bechdel test is when two major named characters have a conversation that's not about a man. And then there's the Ava DuVernay test, which is when two non-white characters have a conversation and it's not about a white person. And so, you know, sort of keeping all these ideas and tropes in mind, I was pretty, you know, deliberate about that aspect of storytelling, and that, you know, I was trying to show the future that I hope exists, and that I want to exist, and that, you know, we have enough stories about a bunch of white people doing crazy stuff. So, you know, we don't need another one. But it was interesting when I was in Macon having young women responding to it, basically saying that like they don't generally like science fiction because they don't see themselves in that future.
Yes. Yeah, which is one of the main reasons why I started the Atlanta Sci-Fi Film Festival, because, you know, it was just all about diversity for me, and more so all about inclusion. And I've always encouraged writers, like if you're going to write for underrepresented characters, you need to do it, you know, authentically. We shouldn't know that you're sitting there checking boxes. And, you know, some people, you know, they struggle with writing for African-American characters or people of color. But, you know, that also encourages people of color to write for themselves, so to write the characters themselves, as opposed to someone else trying to write from the outside looking in, which is always, you know, really great. But I think that you did an excellent job with it. I think that, you know, it can be done so many ways as long as it's done authentically and keeping everything in mind. And, you know, I've encouraged a lot of writers to, you know, because people struggle with that. They're like, oh, I want to make, you know, want to add different characters in it, but they don't know how. I'm like, okay, well, you know, that's a great time to explore within yourself and getting to know different people with different backgrounds. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about.
Just in case anyone is watching this and thinking like, I want to write from a perspective I'm not part of. There is the most amazing book and series called, I think it's called Writing the Other.
Yes.
And it's really about like how to talk to people who are interested in having conversations or reading their biographies and just saying like, hey, I want to write a story of somebody who was you know, maybe somebody who was a not white person who was in the military, who then transitioned, you know, to another gender. And I want to write about their experience in my movie. And it's like, all right, well, go find books, because there are books about people writing about their experience. There's documentaries. There's all kinds of, go do that. Go read that. And then you'll know. You know, so anyway, so there's a lot of really amazing resources about writing the voices of people of whom you are not a member of their community or their experience. So Writing the Other, amazing book, recommend it.
That's a very important thing. I'm glad that they have that, because we needed something out there. Because I mean, people's heart is in the right place. They just simply needed, you know, some tools and things to think about when doing it. So yeah, I think it's really awesome. But thank you so much for taking out the time and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I've had so much fun. You're so thoughtful and eloquent. It's a joy to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, though, to talking to you again once things start to move with both the series and the movie. So I guess as you know, as things start to progress, at any point, if you want to do another interview to kind of talk about it, I'm all for it. You know, once you have the title locked down, or once you have little bits that you can kind of start, you know, putting out there and telling, I am so excited to hear more about both of these projects. Yeah, so I definitely want to keep up with you, because yeah, you definitely has inspired a lot of people. As a matter of fact, really quickly, there were a lot of the filmmakers, of course, at the festival who had a lot of conversation about your film. They loved it so much, as you know, just from a basic audience, but filmmakers. So you got these two audiences that are like diehards. You know what I mean? Like core, because from an artist standpoint, anyone who's an artist, even if they're not a filmmaker, they're still going to be you know, engaged and drawn to the film. because no matter what your artistry is, it can be applied across the board, whether you're a singer, whether you're a visual artist or a filmmaker. So yeah, you have a very strong audience for this film. So can you remind everybody again where people can watch this film short?
Sure, yeah. So the name of the film is Real Artists, and you can go to the website, which is realartists.film, and that's REAL, artists, ARTISTS, .film. And there's a page of how to watch. Right now it's on iTunes, and you can also see it for free on Canopy if you have a library card. And you can also buy it on Amazon Prime. There's a few other places too, but Season Spark, if you're a member. So there's a bunch of places to see it. But yeah, iTunes, Canopy are probably the biggest ones.
Hopefully everyone will see this now, because like I said, having this piggybacking between Westworld and devs and all this other stuff going on in Person of Interest, like you're right in the sweet spot, girl. You right up in the middle.
Thank you so very much for saying that. I love the comparison. I love those.
Yeah,
for sure.
You're in good company.
Thank you.
You're very good company. Well, thank you so much, Cameo, again for taking out the time to do this interview, and we'll definitely see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
You're listening to the MCSFO podcast, where we speak one language, sci-fi.